Hello and welcome back to the channel. It's myself and Red Dead Panda for another episode 20. I think we're on episode 20 now, Panda. Are you there?
Something like that, yeah. Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, episode 20. We made it all the way to 20. So how you been? What have you been playing?
I've been playing a few different games. I've still been playing The Ascent. I just tried out Hades, which is really good. And thanks for the introduction, Elite. I have tried, is it Omni or I don't know, this other indie game on Game Pass. So enjoying all these indie games. I didn't really play them much, unless I was after gamer score, because I'm a bit of an achievement whore for certain games. And so it was really nice in regards to being introduced to all these indie games that I usually would never have tried, and I'm really enjoying them, thoroughly enjoying them. So much so. But yeah, that's what I've been playing. What about yourself there, Elite? What have you been playing?
So I've been bouncing between... I need to try to get back onto Microsoft Flight Sim, but it's hard because there's just so much stuff to play now on Game Pass.
Yeah.
Because I've been playing Ascent, and then obviously...
Is that because Xbox has games now?
It does have games. There's lots of games. Too many games. Because obviously we've been playing Ascent. I'm really enjoying that. I've been playing Hades again today and getting into that. And it's sort of I'm just getting into too many games. I'm playing a little bit of one, and then think, right, now I have to play this for a little bit, and then you play that for a bit, and you think, right, now I better go on to this one and play that for a bit, and you really
Your
should
backlog
should
getting bigger and bigger.
Should sit down and really just focus on completing one. I think I might have to just try to complete the Ascent and then move on to Hades and complete that, and then rather just flickering between them all, because I didn't even finish Thing either. What's the other Outriders, which I got right near the end of, and then all these games start popping. It's like, oh no, just too much to play. And then I want to sort of get more on Microsoft Flight Sim and all, because we've got Forza Horizon dropping soon, and we got Halo obviously, and then we've got what's the other game I'm looking forward to? It's going to drop on. Oh, we've got Back 4 Blood. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to 12 minutes.
12 minutes. That's another one I'm looking forward to. And one I'm looking forward to is, what's it called? Origami 2. I'm looking forward to Origami 2 dropping, It's just
it was just games. At the Indie Xbox showcase, right?
Oh, was it? I didn't watch that.
Yeah, I think they talked about it, number 2. But yeah, there were quite a few games at the Indie Xbox showcase. I don't know why that's not one of our topics today, but that's all right. And then we've still got Xbox Gamescom to come.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll be able to,
yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. Is that in a week or two?
I think it's in a week or two, yeah. Pretty sure.
When's the Sony event? I thought it was meant to be the 12th of August.
Well, if I had a Steam Deck, I would be playing crickets for you right now.
No, all right. Yeah, that's what we need. We do need one of those deck things. Yeah. Where can we find you? Where can we find you at Dead Panda?
You can find me in Middle Earth. No, you can find me in New Zealand.
Yes.
You can find me on Twitter, Red Dead Panda Gaming, Red Dead Panda 1, and that's the number 1.
Yeah.
You can find me on Xbox Live, Red Dead Panda 871, and you can also find me on YouTube, Red Dead Panda Gaming. See, I'm just too confused. What about yourself, Elite? Where can we find you?
You can find me here, and you can find me on Twitter. I still don't know my Twitter name. I can't read it out. I need to put it at the end of this video. Really, I need to start sticking on the thingy-majig, because I don't know what it is. I don't know what my name is on Twitter. But you can find me on Twitter and here. Right, should we get into the first topic then?
Yeah, what is our first topic?
Our first topic is there's more tech issues with the PS5. So, Battlefield 2042 tech test has been cancelled on the PS5 due to critical issues. While the Xbox invites are still being sent out. Now, we've had several technical issues with the PS5, even though they're going to all deny it. We've had Biomutant that reported technical issues with the PS5 when it came down to the Biomutant game. We had F1. We even had Returnal. We've had Battlefield now. We also had Sniper Ghost Warrior. All these games, and I'm sure many more, have had technical issues with the PS5. So, where do you want to leave? Oh, my cat was coming 1 minute. Where do you want to leave with this? Do you want to go for it, Red?
Yeah, I'll go for it. I just really, first off, want to talk about, I think it was the Jason Schreier post back in March of this year, talking about how devs are loving the PS5 and it's more superior than other hardware. Who are these devs, guys? Who are these devs? Because devs are now coming out and consistently advising us and telling us that there are tech problems with their PS5 version of the game. So if you haven't read the articles about this, because this was few different, more than a few different outlets have been talking about this, but Battlefield 2042 was due to have a beta test for the servers and such. It's already been tested on PC and it was going to Xbox and PlayStation 5. And then they found out in the build that they were going to be having gamers test that there was some issues that meant that the game was broken and they couldn't release it or test it in its current state or have people test it in its current state. So they cancelled it. Obviously there'll be another one once they fix the problems, but this late into development and they're still having problems with the PS5 is actually really concerning for me. I mean, the games you listed off, Elite, like Biomutant, F1, Returnal, Sniper Ghost Warrior, they were all very well into development and development of the PS5 versions. Yep. And it was right before the games were due to release that we found out that there were problems. Like, there were certain settings or certain settings that weren't released when the game actually did release, until they fixed they fixed the problems. Like, I think F1 had a problem, was it with ray tracing or with some other feature, and they had to tracing, and once they've fixed those critical issues, then they can repatch that back into the game or put a new build out that has those tech problems resolved, those bugs resolved. But I know we're 8 or 9 months into the next gen, right? With the PS5, the Xbox Series consoles, etc., etc. So we're 8 months in. So you would expect tech problems and such, but you're not seeing it on the same level on the Xbox side. So this, and from my understanding, is the PS5 was in development a year longer.
Yeah.
And the fact that we're looking at not just tech problems on that side around software struggling to utilize the system properly, we're also seeing that, like, 8 months later we have the SSD that is in beta that could potentially, if you choose to update your console and go into the testing, do beta test for an SSD, you could potentially brick the console. That update causes bricks of your console.
Yeah.
If it doesn't brick your console, you could potentially use the wrong type of SSD and then waste all that money. You could break the SSD trying to install it. I know it's not that hard to install an SSD and it's pretty straightforward, but you shouldn't need to have people on YouTube showing videos on how to do it, because it should be super easy. That's the purpose of consoles, including testing games like this. If it's not ready for the PS5 to be tested, delay the release of that version of the game. Yes, it's going to piss off the community because Xbox isn't getting delayed, PC isn't getting delayed. But do you want a good do you want a good experience as a gamer, or do you want to run through the game like people are experiencing? Or when the Cyberpunk initially released, and that was taken off the PlayStation, oh my god, what's it called? Storefront.
Yeah.
It was taken off the PlayStation storefront because of the fact that the game shouldn't have been released at that point. It should have been delayed an extra year to get it running on PlayStation consoles, whether it was last gen or next gen, because let's be honest, new gen is faring a lot better. But from what we can tell is, Sony being the genius that he is, there are problems with the PS5 and there are going to be reiterations of it. There will be a newer version of the PS5 that has less problems. They're still coming to terms with it. I think at this point, when we're looking at comparison between Xbox and PlayStation is concerning me this generation.
Yeah.
It didn't concern me last generation. They were clearly king last generation. They had a really good unit, except for the jet engine that it was. But what are your thoughts on this? I think it's a bit shit, and it's not surprising.
It's not surprising. We sort of knew it going into this. I think this generation, we knew the PlayStation. There was several reports issued, but sort of The media, as always, don't really cover it too well. Like IGN, sort of just ignore it, and the big media sites don't really cover it too well. It's always the smaller media sites that sort of make a point of it, going, "Oh, hold up, this has got issues," and then sort of the others try to sort of, "No, don't worry about it." So the PS5 did have issues leading up to its launch, and then early launch, and then and then going on to the SSD. It's a beta, and it does have issues, and on top of that, Sony have said, I mean, why else would you say this? They won't support, if it does brick your console, then they're not liable for it, which I think is a disgusting thing to say to your customers. Please use this, and on the PS5. By the way, if it does brick it, goodbye, good luck with that. Just buy another console for another £500, thanks. No thank you. That's basically their message. Brick your console, buy another one. Because they would love that. They'd absolutely love it. And what's stupid is the Sony fan base are supporting it and backing them up on it. You want us to buy another console? Yeah, sure, we'll do that. That's sort of ridiculous mentality.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I think we're going to keep going on, and we're going to keep seeing more and more games until we get to mid-gen refresh, which I think they have to iron out all the issues with the PS5. But I think until then, we're going to just keep having games come out, and they're going to say, this is. I mean, I was looking at the Biomutant. The problem with the Biomutant is it couldn't run 4K. They had to run 1080p. This is a PS5 running 1080p because it can't run 4K. The Xbox X last generation was running 4K. The PS5 can't run 4K. It had to run the game in 1080p. It's just ridiculous. That's not just a technical issue. I'm sorry. That's a major issue there.
Yeah. And the bottleneck last generation was the CPU.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't have that bottleneck this time.
No, exactly. So there's some problems there, and it could be down to heating, which obviously from day one, I reckon it's been overclocked just to keep it at what is it 10? Is it 10 teraflops?
10.28. Yeah.
Yeah, but originally when it first released, if you remember, they said it was 9 teraflops.
9.2.
Yeah, it was 9, but then everyone ran with the 10 teraflops. Which that is actually the overclocked version. And if you look at overclocking, which I've done a video on this as well, look at overclocking. It tears up your computer. Your software eventually just runs down.
Its lifespan.
Yeah, it reduces its lifespan. It runs down. And they said even when Digital Foundry done the first breakdown, it said you're going to have dips playing games. Your game won't continuously run at 10 teraflops. It's going to dip and go up and down. It's going to what's it called? Fluctuate.
That's that variable.
The variable thing.
Variable. Yeah.
And they said this, and the media and their fan base, which are completely ignorant, just ignored it and went, "Oh no, it'll be fine. It's always going to run at full whack." No, it won't. And this is where I think developers are having problems with it. It's the fluctuating qualities that they can't allow that on their games, because no game's you're not going to want a game that's just going bouncing up and down in resolutions. So they're they're doing it the minimum spec version for PS5 games. You get the minimum spec. Just like you would on a PC, really. It's just ridiculous.
I think what's made the transition a little bit easier, because they are it is a weaker system. It's just facts, guys. Yeah. Based on the CPU and the GPU, just facts. Just pointing it out. Don't hate me for pointing out facts. Yeah. But you look at it. I think what's bridging it is making it easier for them is the asset streaming through the SSD.
Yeah.
It is fast enough to, I guess, provide the detail that is required for these games to run in the fidelity that they're running in, so it's making it a lot easier. I reckon if they had the PS5 currently as is with a slower SSD, we would be seeing a lot more problems than we currently are now. Yeah. SSD does not give you graphical power, mind you. It's just about providing all that information that to the CPU or from the CPU, and making sure it's all available storage for you. It's not a GPU. It's storage, and it can be used on the fly with the speed. But talking about that, wasn't it funny, and I know this isn't one of our topics, seeing that just PC M.2 drives actually perform better than the PS5 one, which was meant to be the fastest thing since sliced bread. Practically acts like a second PS5.
Yeah. Well, let's just tick all the boxes here. The PS5 so powerful, Unreal Engine 5 could only run on it. It couldn't run on a PC or Xbox Series X because of the SSD. That was debunked. Returnal could only possibly run on the PS5 because of its SSD. That was also debunked. And now we're getting this magical SSD customed SSD, which cannot possibly run anywhere else on the planet because and nothing can top it because it's so powerful. Not even a PC SSD, and it's already been outpaced by the. And they said themselves, Digital Foundry said the slowest SSD on the market is even outdoing it. How can that be if it's a custom magical SSD? How is it being outpaced? It's like, what's going on here? Is it custom at all? I reckon it's just a standard SSD they're throwing in. And certainly they call him, as they call him, the genius and the god. He's not a genius or god at all. I think he's just a salesman. No. He's a used car salesman that has just given him a load of technical babble, which it sounded like he's of the presentation at the time. He sounds like he's using a lot of buzzwords, throwing a lot of stuff out there, skipping the actual facts and stuff, and then they've all gobbled it up and just listened, just nodded their heads as he's talking. Yes, we'll buy your fucking product. Yes, because we're morons. And
I think,
and it's just this was what happened.
I think they bought it just based off previous history of what Sony tends to bring to the table with PlayStation. So there was a certain pedigree, and they've been extremely let down this generation based on what Sony promised and what's actually been delivered, and what PlayStation's promised and what's actually been delivered. I mean, what you were saying, all valid points there, and if you're listening, guys, Elite is literally just listing all these arguments that PlayStation toxic fanboys tried to throw at the Xbox community, and every time it was thrown out the window because it was debunked and proven wrong. Yeah. Every time. That's all we're doing is just stating your narrative is flawed. Yeah. What's the sad thing for me is, though, at the end of the day, the people who have bought into the ecosystem, bought into the PS5, are the ones being affected as gamers. They don't get to enjoy the games that they want to enjoy because there are problems. They don't get to enjoy it in the same fidelity that PC gamers enjoy or Xbox gamers enjoy, or even people streaming on Stadia. Like, that's concerning because everyone talks about how hardware is king and how streaming creates lag and all this other problems. Like, at least with Stadia, yes, hardware is king and it's got less input lag and those sort of things. You're not running into the technical difficulties that PlayStation 5 is running into.
No.
I mean, this really fits in nicely to our talk about tech issues, because if we're talking about that, what about Abandoned Elite? Because that was meant to be announced and shown, and they rickrolled everyone quite a few times, and then the reason that they said they couldn't show it is because there was something wrong with the demo, which is running on a PS5.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What do you want to say about Abandoned?
Yeah. What is this about? I'm confused by the whole thing. I'm getting a sort of a No Man's Sky kind of vibe again. I'm getting sort of the developers sort of either trolling and it's just a complete made up account because he seems to have deleted like his YouTube channel and all loads of stuff now, and Twits and stuff, and done loads of deleting their content, so people can't sort of check them out, which is odd. But I don't know if they're trolling or if they're just like No Man's Sky. Do you remember No Man's Sky where they fed a load of rubbish and a load of lies about this game, but then when it released it had nothing in it which they said would have it. No, that someone actually done a list of things they said would be in it and none of it was in it, including multiplayer, which is the main selling point of the game. It didn't even have multiplayer in it. And I'm getting sort of that vibe from this. It's another sort of just another shambles, a lie. And people are saying, Sony can't be held accountable. I think they can to a degree. Okay, yes, the developer should take 100% accountability. However, this is being sold on Sony's product exclusively to PS5. They should take some responsibility for this. Because if I had a product and my product was, I don't know, linked to something else, any bad negative press or results from that product would reflect on my company. And I wouldn't have that. I wouldn't be happy with that. So why is Sony keeping quiet about this? Why have they not come out and said to these people, look, you need to say something or do something? Sony, just like No Man's Sky, Sony kept quiet because at the end of the day, they don't care. They want this game to release. They don't care if it's broken. They don't care anything about it. They want it to release. They want you to pay 70 quid for it, and then they're going to make the money and then give you a thumbs up and go, cheers, thanks. Just like No Man's Sky they did. And
I think they're trying to... ride out the storm, because the moment they start making comments, they leave themselves open
Yeah.
for everyone to jump in on them and go WTF, like what the hell's wrong?
Yeah.
And they're being quiet, and they're trying to ride out that storm, kind of like how Xbox did at the beginning of the generation. They were quite quiet, and then Phil just came out and was like, "We're gonna talk. We're here. We're staying. Let's be loud about it." Yes, there was fans that were just negative, specifically from another part of our another part of the community.
Yeah.
But they stuck it out. They changed the narrative, and look where we are, where we can stand with our head held up high, being the fact that we both love to play Xbox. I mean, I love to play Nintendo and I love to play PC, but Xbox is where I generally play all my games. So I'm actually quite proud, and there's a lot of positivity within our community. There's a lot of negativity in the Sony community at the moment, that they're trying to damage control and hide their disappointment because they bleed blue, essentially. So they're getting a taste of what we dealt with last generation, and they don't like it. And it's only 8 months into the generation. So they really need to pull up their socks and sort out the problems with the PS5, because developers having to work around and try and come up with fixes to deal with these tech issues that are unforeseen for them isn't ideal, because it's impacting the people who are going to be purchasing your game, who have purchased your system.
To be nice, I just get the impression Sony just doesn't care. Sony just wants to sell consoles. I don't care of any issues. I don't care if you're having problems with it. I don't care about any of it. They just want the money.
I think that's them from Jim.
They're quite
Jim
happy.
Ryan.
Yeah, they're quite happy to put a broken product or a product with no games, which Push Square have finally come out and said, because no one else will say it. I mean, I've done videos on it and been saying it for ages. PlayStation 5 has no any new announced first-party PS5 exclusives, games that are only be on the PS5, not on the PS4 as well. Because that's what I was going to say. Can you imagine? Remember at the beginning, when we was first doing things, and when just before the beginning of the new consoles launch, we were saying about getting a PS5.
Yeah.
And we were saying if we can get hold of both consoles, we would. I mean, I can't even get hold of the Xbox Series X. So I'm on an Xbox Series Slim, so I'm certainly not buying a PS5. But we was saying we would get a PS5 if we can get hold of one. And then we were saying about games to play. We were saying back then they've not really announced much. Only Horizon Zero Dawn 2, Spider-Man, God of War, and Gran Turismo 7. But then it was announced that Horizon Zero Dawn 2 and Spider-Man on PS4, which then we thought, so that only leaves God of War and Gran Turismo 7. But then they're also going to PS4. Can you imagine if we bought a PlayStation 5? As Xbox gamers, we thought we would make that leap and bought a £500 PlayStation 5. And then all the games we're playing on it could have just been played the PS4. We could have just bought a £100 PS4, a cheap one, and just played all those games on it. How annoyed would you be? How fed up? And I'm surprised there's not more fans kicking back from that, saying, hold on. And it's good that Push Square, a Sony site, have actually come out and said they've got no first-party next-gen games in the pipeline, or they've not announced anything. And people are saying, somebody on Twitter today told me they've got 40 unannounced games they're developing. 40. I thought. It's a lie.
That's Xbox's. That's Xbox's over 40 titles. PlayStation's over 25, I think, but it's not 40.
No, he said 40. I said to him, they've only got about 13 studios, haven't they? Sony. How can they have 40 games in development with only 13 studios? That means each studio's making 3 games each. Absolutely zero chance of that. Absolutely zero chance. Especially when you get studios like Santa Monica and that only generally make one game a year, like God of War. They only make God of War once a generation. They won't make other games. When you've got studios like that, there's no way like that 40. It's delusion, the absolute delusion. And in that 25 number they've been thrown about, Sony threw that out after sort of E3 just to sort of, I think, damage control that Xbox have got a ton of games coming out and Sony have not announced anything. So they said, we've got 25 games in development with no news about those games. You don't know if they're first party, you don't know if they're second party, you don't know if they're third party, you don't know if they're indie titles, you don't know if they're timed exclusives, you don't know if they're cross-gen, you don't know anything about them. They just threw out the number 25 and all their fan base are jumping and going, they got 25 AAA blockbusters coming out. You think, just the stupidity.
Think about this, Elite. Obviously, excluding state of plays.
Yeah.
Excluding state of plays. Their little state of plays, which are like highlighting a specific game or something.
Yeah.
It has been like over a year since PlayStation came out and did a proper show where they talked about new games coming into development. Over a year, guys. That's concerning. Remember, they have stopped going to E3 back in like 2017.
Yeah.
They stopped. Like, they haven't done, or 2018, I can't remember which year it was that they stopped, but they also, when they first started talking about the PS5, they were like, we've got hundreds of, like, we're preparing to do hundreds of little shows and things to kind of, we're not going to E3, but we're still going to be doing other things to show you what's coming up. And they've just been quiet.
Yeah.
And I think part of that might be the console.
Yeah.
And just the fact that they don't have the games ready. I think next year we're probably going to see a much more fierce lineup of games from PlayStation. But just let your fans know what games are coming down the line so that, yes, the PS5 is really hard to get hold of, but you want to keep that momentum going. And part of that is going, Sony has the games, that's why you buy us.
Yeah.
Like PlayStation, that's why you buy a PlayStation. You know the games are coming. But we also know they're coming to PC too as well because they bought that studio that does ports to PC. So they're actually going to be facilitating and supporting studios bringing games to PC. It might not be day and date. It eventually probably will be. But that's coming down the line. And people who are in denial about that need to open their eyes and ask for better. Call out Sony. I mean, if they next week, after we do the show, come out and do something for games, good on them. Great job. It's deserved for the fan base.
Yeah.
The people who have purchased your system. But you should have done this a long time ago. And as far as I'm concerned, the person at the head of PlayStation right now is not a gamer.
Yeah.
He's just a businessman. And you can see the difference between how PlayStation is being run to how Xbox is being run when you actually have someone who understands as a gamer what is important, and also the fact that the people who purchase your system and play your games and purchase those games, you have to listen to them because they will make or break you. Phil is very adamant about making sure that he provides and listens to the fans. And the whole company listens to the fans and everything like that. It's important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think that. Anyway, so Abandoned. Did you like the memes for Abandoned? The fact that all the memes and getting lighthearted. If you haven't been on Twitter and looked at the Abandoned stuff, because they revealed that they were going to do the tech demo or show a teaser or trailer of the game they're working on, which is Blue Box. People have now started calling the studio, if they are even a studio, because it doesn't look like they could be, Blue Balls. Abandoned because basically they've abandoned the PlayStation fan base. It's hilarious. I found
people
those
supporting them still, like MGB and that are still supporting them. You think, are you deluded? Are you mental? What more do they need to do to sort of to troll you, to slap you in the face? It's like did you see they released their demo today, didn't they? Did you read about it? I think Boom posted about it. Yeah, they finally did release the demo, but it's only a few seconds long. It's just a demo they showed like 6 months ago. Exactly the same demo, exactly the same thing. They've not changed anything. Exactly the same. So they're clearly just trolling. Yeah. So imagine
they did troll because they were showing the demo and then they went and rickrolled a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like they had 2 rickrolls, and I was like, "Wow, you guys are still eating this up, and you're getting rickrolled, and you think this is legit?" Like, yes, rickrolling is funny to people. However, you guys are your community is really dry on games, like really dry. Yeah. I would be furious if we had no games, no announcements, nothing like that from Xbox, and then a studio goes, "Yeah, we're going to show you something," and then they rickroll me.
Yeah.
I'll be so fucked off.
Do you know what would make you more furious? If
buying a PlayStation? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Why are people still buying them? What are you buying it for? You must be buying it for multi-plat games. You're not buying it from exclusives. Yeah, Director's Cut. People are talking about Director's Cut and how hype they are about Director's Cuts. It's ridiculous. That's how desperate they're getting. No, you know what would really annoy me is that if I bought a PlayStation 5 and the only game that was announced by Sony was an Xbox Studio game, Deathloop. That's what I'll be
think
right.
that's
I'll be
sad.
thinking, yeah, I'll be thinking, wait a minute. I bought a PlayStation 5 and your show only shows an Xbox Studio game, Deathloop, which is timed.
I
And
think that's sad though. Like
that's worrying.
those
Yeah.
PlayStation
Can you
spent
imagine?
quite a bit of money
Yeah.
keeping those as timed exclusives for their fan base.
Yeah.
So that was Deathloop, Ghostwire Tokyo,
Yeah.
only to have them bought by Xbox. And I feel like those games aren't going to do well because people don't want to buy them because it supports Xbox.
Exactly. Anyone with both consoles will just play it on the, especially with all the games coming out. Anyone with both consoles will just wait and play it on the Xbox. They're not going to pay £70 for it. You just wait for it to come on Game Pass a year later.
All right.
Yeah.
I think this topic's done to death, don't you?
Yep. Should we move on to?
Let's abandon it for the next topic.
Abandon.
Sorry, couldn't help myself, guys. That pun was just waiting for me.
They're clearly trolling just for the name Abandoned, and that's literally what they're doing. They're clearly trolling. But anyway,
Yeah.
Fruitgate.
Yeah.
Should we get onto?
So
this started off. Oh, go on, you go.
I was just gonna say. So this started off with basically a post on Twitter of someone who was in the Halo Infinite beta, and they were going around. Obviously, Halo, you're meant to shoot characters, but they decided to go around and shoot fruit. And then they complained about the fruit mechanics for it, because when you shot the box of fruit,
physics.
the whole thing... yeah, fruit physics. The whole set of fruit, all the fruit in the box exploded. Whereas they compared it to another game, I can't remember what game they compared... Oh, COD, I think. And you shoot a piece of fruit, and then that'll explode, and you shoot the next piece, and this is all in box. And they were like, the fruit mechanics, like, this is meant to be this next-gen game, running on the Series X and everything like that. And its fruit mechanics are useless. So, as a result of that, there have been a lot of videos and GIFs and such created to point out how ridiculous the sentiment is targeting Xbox, targeting 343, by showing you other games that don't have proper fruit like physics. Do you want to talk more about that, Elite?
Sorry, my cat was annoying me. I had to kick him out. Right.
That's okay. But do you want to talk to that, and then I'll put my 2 cents in?
Yeah. So, So they're questioning all the fruit physics in Halo, and then which is absurd and then calling the game trash because of it, because of the fruit physics. But what's sort of backfired, as always, it reminds me of what's the other thing that backfired? There was something else that backfired, wasn't there?
Everything backfired
Pass,
on them eventually.
Game Pass, when they started trolling Game Pass, and then Dustin done that thing, didn't he? And said, yeah, but you can get it for X amount of money. And then everyone on Twitter started posting it, didn't they? And then they got absolutely yeah, remember that? They got packed.
Hilarious.
And everyone was just trolling PS5. And this is the same thing now. They've picked on Halo about its fruit. And then it's just absolutely backfired. Now everyone's making memes of it and stuff. Because now they're calling it... Because then it sort of encouraged Xbox gamers to go, oh, let's have a look at this. Let's look deeper into this. And they're putting up PlayStation games with exactly the same mechanics. And now they just got egg on their face and look stupid. Now it's just making all their games look bad. Because any game with physics like this is a trash. So someone brought up The Last of Us 2. And what was it? I think Returnal. And they're just bringing up all their games and highlighting exactly the same mechanics on the AAA blockbusters, Game of the Year winners. And it's just hilarious. It's just ridiculous. And now they're absolutely regretting ever mentioning fruit now.
Yeah, they are, because, I mean, there was a shot of, if you haven't seen this on Twitter yet, there was a shot of someone shooting a fire extinguisher in Halo.
Yeah.
And when they shot it, and it was lying on the ground, all this air started shooting out of it. And then someone was shooting a fire extinguisher in The Last of Us Part 2. Nothing happened.
Did nothing.
Nothing. It was just a set piece, guys. It was there to make it look lived in and pretty.
Yeah.
So there were no mechanics for when you shoot it, what happens. Who cares?
Yeah.
Why did this become such a huge thing? It frustrates me. Yes, there are some games where you want to be silly and you want to shoot everything or destroy everything. Those games are designed that way. This game is designed as a first-person shooter to shoot each other, not at the fruit. Yes, it's nice that they even added in mechanics so if you shoot the fruit, it explodes. They didn't have to go any further than that, actually.
Yeah.
And for people to call out a game such as Halo, which isn't designed to be a fruit ninja shooting game, like, that's not the purpose of it. Grow up.
Yeah. What made
Like,
this...
as... Sorry, go.
What I was going to say, well, actually, what made it worse? Do you remember when the beta dropped for Back for Blood, and they started doing it again for Back for Blood? There was making saying Back for Blood's trash and crap
Because it's in Game Pass?
Because you couldn't shoot Windows out. Yeah, that's the real truth of it. It's because it's in Game Pass. We've got the beta of it, and I don't think they have. I don't think the PS4's got a beta of it. And so they're trashing Back for Blood, which is a multiplayer game. It's going to be on the PlayStation as well. But they're absolutely trashing it just because it's on Game Pass and saying this is Game Pass trash and that. So they were shooting Windows and Windows could be broken. So then, once again, someone highlighted that in The Last of Us 2 you couldn't shoot Windows and do exactly the same, and just started trolling the exact same guy. Started trolling him again, saying, look, your games have got the exact same mechanics. And you just think, oh, why are you throwing... Don't throw stones in glass houses, because it's ridiculous. And you just read it going on, and you can see when they start posting stuff, you can see where it's going to lead, because people are now starting to do this where it started and where it ended things now, aren't they? You see on Twitter, this is how it started, this is how it ended, and it starts with them sort of basically trashing games, and it ends with them with egg on their face and looking absolutely stupid because then their favourite games are also being trashed for the exact same mechanics. Oh, and this comes, what annoys me most is this comes from the people that claim Xbox gamers don't support devs. Yet any game that comes out, if it's not on PlayStation, they trash it. They trash, and not just trash the game, they trash the devs. And the devs trash. And these are the people that say they support devs, and we're not supporting devs. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Absolute goalposting, contradiction, hypocrisy. It's just... They're not gamers. They're not gamers. They're a cult.
Who would want to release a game on their platform when... if it's releasing on another platform and it's getting absolutely trashed by them, and then they're like, oh yeah, it'll come here, we'll play it. Like, why would you want to do that with a community where all they're doing is saying your game is shit? Yeah. Why would you want to release a game on that platform? I mean, did we do that to Hellblade? No, Hellblade came out on the PS4 first. Based on the scope and the money that they had available, they had to make a decision as to which platform to release it on. So they went for the platform which had the biggest in-store base to make the most money, right? It was an indie game, and so they released on Hellblade. Did Xbox come out and trash Hellblade? Yes, it was another story-driven game. However, it was actually very compelling, and it deserved every accolade it's gotten since it's released. And then it got released on Xbox, and people have started playing it. More people have played it because there was a sequel announced, so they want to play that before they play the sequel. But like, if you want to play a game, and you don't have games currently on your console right now, other than third party, because it's really dry at the moment on PlayStation side. Don't sit there and trash developers' games and then expect that these games are going to come to your console when you're ungrateful little children.
Yeah. Well, I really don't get the ideology. It's because I said they're so deluded and so Sony focused that they really don't care about anyone else or sort of developers or anything like that. If I was a developer and I had a game and I thought, where should I release it? Right, you've got this absolutely toxic community that's going to trash my game if it doesn't live up to their AAA banger standard. Or you've got this community that's welcoming more games on Game Pass. You're going to go with the welcoming community. You're not going to go with the nasty one that's just going to destroy your game on Twitter and any form of social media if it's not up to their level. Because they seem to hold themselves at some sort of special standard because they're every game that comes out on PlayStation exclusive, regardless of its score even, because even things like Days Gone, which only has a Metacritic of something like 74, they will call a masterpiece. The ignorance is unreal.
But they trashed The Ascent.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, when they play The Ascent, they'll probably enjoy it if they've played twin-stick shooters.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, there's a tweet that I shared to you before we went and started recording the podcast, where it says, someone said, can't destroy the fruit, 1 out of 10. Game is trash, demand better. Yeah. So they're talking about the ridiculousness of this fruit meme, because the original post that they actually retweeted out said, how did Hades ever win Game of the Year? Clearly it's terrible. Hashtag Hades.
Yeah.
But it's a shot of Hades, like the character from the game,
Yeah, I can't remember his name,
attacking two parts of fruit and it doing nothing.
Yeah.
And this game still got Game of the Year, guys.
Yeah.
So why are you trying to find nitty-gritty things to pull apart and trash a game on when it doesn't impact the gameplay? It's just a set piece.
Yeah.
Like, grow up. You don't go in to play a game to destroy fruit unless it's a game designed for that purpose. And these games that people are now trolling are not designed for that purpose. Learn and understand what the scope of a game is, why it's designed the way it's designed, and then understand how to play it before you open your mouth.
And this leads us nicely onto Hellblade Series patch. So
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, because the Hellblade is getting a patch for the Xbox Series X. It's getting a sort of an upgrade for free. So
For free, yep.
for free, and the PlayStation 5 is not getting a patch. It's not getting an upgrade for the game.
It's not getting an upgrade.
And this is driving them mental. It's driving the
owned by
PlayStation fan base mental. Yeah, it's owned by Xbox. The game is owned by Xbox. So they've got, and because Xbox owned them and they're going to pay for it, it's getting an upgrade on the Xbox only, not on the PlayStation 5. And they're saying, well, they're almost demanding that the PlayStation 5, a game they've been trashing, by the way, since this is how it backfires on them, you know, they've been trashing since it's gone to Xbox, that the PS5 should get the same upgrade. How does that work? How does that... And these are the same people that are quite happy for the Avengers game, which is a multi-plat, the PS5 to have Spider-Man DLC, which the Xbox doesn't get. But when it comes to a patch for a game that is owned by Xbox, then Xbox should be giving out free patches for everyone, and shouldn't be anti-consumer by not allowing a patch on another system. Absolutely hypocrisy once more. You there?
Don't use logic on these people. Do not use logic on these people.
No.
I think it's interesting when you're talking about that, because if we look at what they were complaining about with Psychonauts,
Yeah.
contractually, Psychonauts was designed for the PS4 and PS4 Pro. There was nothing in the contractual agreement that they had to make a next-gen version of it for the PS5, so it runs on PS5, backwards compatible. So looking at that logic, contractually speaking, they don't have to create a next-gen patch for the PS5.
And
There's nothing to say that they have to do that. They delivered to PlayStation exactly what they were contracted to deliver, a PS4 version and a PS4 Pro version. And it's just nice enough that the PS5 happens to run it in backwards compatibility mode.
Yeah. And what do Hellblade and Psychonauts have in common? Not only that Xbox own them both, but the PlayStation fans trash both games as well. Yet they want the patches for free. Having trashed the developers. You know, which leads to our previous example. You can't trash a developer, but then when they bring out a patch, you go, actually, can we have that for free, please? Having just trashed your game. It's ridiculous. But yeah, why would you give out free patches? I mean, Sony doesn't even give free patches for their own games. They have to pay for them, don't they? They have to pay for their own patches on their console. So why should Xbox give them free patches for their games? Ridiculous.
I mean, and we look at it, Ninja Theory is busy, hard at work on Hellblade 2, so this got passed out to a third-party developer to optimize and patch it for next gen, and I think they did an amazing job.
Oh, yeah.
We're looking at 3 modes on Hellblade. There is is it 1080p 120 FPS?
Yeah.
1080p 120 FPS mode.
Does it have ray tracing at
so that's the performance mode. You then have the resolution mode, which is 4K 60, which also does not have ray tracing. And then you have the enriched visual mode, which gives you everything that you need in a game and in 30 frames per second, because it is expensive
4K native,
to run ray tracing.
Yeah, ray tracing.
I can't remember what the resolution is on that one,
4K
but
30.
it's aiming for like 4K 30.
Yeah.
With ray tracing included. So there are 3 modes available. I think they've done a great job, and people have been trashing this, going, well, it's if your Xbox Series X, which is the next gen system, can't run a game at 4K 60 with ray tracing, what the hell's wrong with you? This game wasn't designed for the Series X
It's a cross-gen game.
at all. Cross-gen, designed to run on previous gen systems. Yes, it can take advantage of the more powerful hardware. Wait till you see Hellblade 2, which has been designed from the ground up
Yeah.
using UE5 to run on PC, to run on the Series S, to run on the Series X. You're going to be eating your own words because it's going to take full advantage as much as possible of the system and the features available, including velocity architecture, including your sampler feedback streaming, including variable refresh rates, etc., etc. There's a lot to take advantage of for next gen when a game is designed to take advantage from the ground up. People keep forgetting that.
Yeah, rather than attacking Xbox games, because they're going to do it anyway, rather than attacking Xbox games that are cross-gen, maybe they should ask Sony why their next-gen games, like Demon's Souls, doesn't have ray tracing either. And it's a next-gen game, solely made for the PlayStation 5. Doesn't have ray tracing. Why is that?
Because it's a game designed and based off a title from the PS3 era.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Oh, no, wait a minute. Remember this, Demon's Souls was built from the ground up for PlayStation 5, apparently. Yet, it cannot do ray tracing.
Yep, it might have been built up from the ground up. However, it was still based and designed and copied off
We know it's
from
just a remaster.
basically.
It's just a glorified remaster. That's what really, not really built from the ground up, wasn't it? If it was built from the ground up, from scratch, from nothing, it would have just run with ray tracing.
Built off the foundations that were already set in place from a PS3 title.
Exactly.
I think I'm really excited about the Hellblade patch. Actually, I think that's amazing. Obviously, there's probably going to be some patches going out to the PC version because there are some changes in the Series X and Series S version which aren't currently yet available on the PC version. But the PC version looks amazing anyway. It's just going to improve that game on the PC because of the fact it's been optimized for the consoles. I think the biggest thing about this patch, and I love this game. Elite, have you finished it yet or played it?
No, I've not. I've tried it, and it's not my. I've struggled with.
Not your style of game.
I've struggled with sort of single player.
Story-driven,
story-driven games. So, but when the patch comes out and it'll be on Game Pass, I might give it another go to see what it's like on the next generation.
It's out now.
Consoles.
Are you going to wait till Series X though? Yeah, it's out now.
No, I'll play on the Series. It's still the patches on the Series Sim, isn't it?
Yeah, so there's one with ray tracing in, from my understanding. So there are three modes. So there's resolution, which is at 30 FPS. There is the enriched mode at 30 FPS, and then there is the performance mode at 60 FPS. Yeah. So there are three modes on the Series S version as well.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest change, and probably the thing that needs to be lauded and applauded for them, is the inclusion of chapter select. Because basically, you can play through in one playthrough in that game and get every single achievement. In one playthrough, you can. However, if you're like me, who accidentally missed a Lodestone, whatever they are, can't think of what they're actually called at the moment. I missed one right at the very end of the game. And I was like, I'm not replaying through the whole game again just to get that one thing, to get that last achievement. I love the game, but it's just like, it was frustrating. It was right at the very end. If it was at the beginning, I would have gone and just grabbed it and got that achievement. Like, I loved the game. It's so much fun to play, but it's a bit dark and kind of scary for me, in a sense. I'm now going to go get that last achievement because I have chapter select available for myself.
I need to.
Which I think is amazing.
I still need to play Gears. I've not played Gears 5 yet. I was waiting to play it on the new next gen console, so I still need to play Gears 5. So I might probably run through that before I play Hellblade. That's
pretty good. I haven't played Hive Busters yet.
Yeah. So yeah, I need to remember to do that. I have to test another game on the list.
My sister and I will end up playing that together at some point, eventually, because she loves Gears. I like Gears. She loves Gears. Like, she loves Gears more than I like Gears. So I play it because it's just nice to play a co-op game with someone. So I play it with her. Like me, I prefer Halo over Gears, where she prefers Gears over Halo. But she plays Halo with me when we play co-op.
Yeah.
Because that's what you do. You do.
Too many games. Too many games.
So
Right,
little
should
time.
we get on to our last topic then?
Yeah. Digital Foundry, if you haven't seen it, recently did a teardown of the Series S. And basically this was only done because he had done something. Is it Ledbetter? Richard Ledbetter had done something with his Series S and caused it to brick. So he admitted he'd been doing something with it and he'd bricked the console. So he was like, "It's useless now. Why don't I pull it apart and let's take a look at it?" Now, if you've been on YouTube, you've probably seen some teardowns of the Series S, but it was just nice to have Digital Foundry come out and talk about it. And show you like all the different components to do with the system, and talk about just the fact that this system, for what it is, for the size, is actually an engineering feat in comparison to other consoles from this generation. And when I say other consoles, I'm actually just calling out the PS5, guys. I'm calling out the PS5. Like both the Series X and the Series S are like engineering feats. They're amazing for what they've managed to do with the power, the size, the cooling, everything like that. I mean, last year when there was some type of, what award was it? And Xbox got called out for the most wanted, or I can't remember what technology it was, but the Series X was, I guess, the most anticipated or most wanted console at the time. For I really can't remember what it was called, but yeah, what are your thoughts on this? Because you own a Series S.
Yeah.
I own a Series S as well. But what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I can't disagree. It's much better than I thought it'd be. Because I really wanted the Xbox Series X, and sort of a bit concerned that I had to make do with the Xbox Series Slim, because you always want the sort of the best you can get. But yeah, I've had no faults with it. It's I've mentioned it before. It's tiny, very small. And I'm shocked that...
Punch, right?
Yeah, I'm shocked at the abilities and the capabilities it has for something that's so small. Which I just... That's what even more makes you wonder why a god, a genius, couldn't make the PlayStation 5 like much smaller than what it is, for the power it has. Because the Xbox Series Slim is not far off the PlayStation 5 power-wise, is it? So... yeah, the machine's fantastic. I urge anyone to go out and just buy a Series. I mean, in the UK they're £250, so
it makes a great companion console, guys.
Yeah, it does. It's handy because when I get my Xbox Series X, I'll probably then put the Slim in sort of downstairs in the living room. So just use it for things like, if I'm ever downstairs watching TV. Cause sometimes I sit down there with my dog when we're in our own and stuff. Sit down there and play the Xbox down there. Or if I go travelling and stuff like that, I'll take it with me, because that's what it's handy for. Or just stick it in a room, you can have it, just to run sort of Netflix or things like that in a room, sort of more of a sort of a entertainment device rather than a gaming device. But it's fantastic. It's tiny, it's small, it's quiet. It's just fantastic, really.
It is, and it's fantastic. And it really deserves more recognition than it's currently getting. I mean, if we look at history of what happens with consoles, especially from last generation.
Yeah.
So last generation, the PS4 and the Xbox One released. PS4 then came out with a PS4 Slim.
Yeah.
Xbox then came out with the Xbox One S.
Yeah.
Then PlayStation also announced the PS4 Pro, and then Xbox also came out with the Xbox One X.
Yeah.
Look at the comparisons. Like, yes, the fact that engineering feat wise, a more powerful console actually was smaller than the One S in size and scope. It was actually smaller than the slim version of the Xbox One.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas you look at the PlayStation 4 Slim, and then the PlayStation 4 Pro, that thing was massive. Like, yes, you have to deal with heat dissipation, and you have to make sure that you can fit in additional power, etc., etc. Get some new engineers over in the Sony side, because Xbox showed you that yes, you can put more power into a system, but it doesn't mean that your system has to balloon out to the size of a mini, like, ATX. The Series X is smaller than a small ATX. Like, it's tiny, yet way more powerful. And it's tiny and way more powerful than the PS5. So I made a comment on, I can't remember, I think I was watching Legal's show yesterday, that the PS6 that eventually will come out one day is
Next
going
year.
to be twice as large as the PS5, because of the fact the way they seem to understand the technological advancements in engineering and how things work. Obviously, more powerful system means it's going to get twice as big as the last system. Xbox is showing you the opposite, which is why it's important to understand the engineering feat and the work that has gone into the two systems to make them what they are today. You look at the PS5, doesn't feel like they really thought about how they were going to deal with the heat based on what they wanted to put in and based on the form factor they were going for. Xbox realized to do what they needed to do, they needed to change the form factor.
Yeah. And then the thing is about the Japanese market, they're always talking about the Japanese market for PlayStation, the games, and yada yada yada. But they realise the Japanese market hate big, mass, bulky console things. They like small things, basically. And I think that's why the PlayStation 5 is the worst selling PlayStation in Japan ever. It's just none of them are buying it because they just don't like it, because it's just so big and massive and bulky, and that's just not their market. It's just for
Not
big
aesthetically
things.
pleasing.
No, it's not. No,
It doesn't blend in and sit well with anything else in your area. Like,
no.
my consoles, regardless of the unit I have, my Xbox Series X is black. Yes, it's monolithic in shape, but it doesn't stand out and scream at me and go, I'm a gaming console. I don't fit next to anything else in my house, in my lounge or my gaming room. It just fades into the background and I play my games. So does the Series S.
Yeah.
The Series S fades in nicely.
Yeah.
That is beautifully designed. If anything, it's nicer than the Series X.
Yeah,
The Series X is the design it is because it needs to cool and it's a lot more powerful. But both systems are designed so it's not invasive, and you can just have it in the background and enjoy it. It's aesthetically pleasing. The PS5 is very obnoxiously loud, and to some people that fits them perfectly.
Yeah.
But to other people, it's huge. And it just screams, I'm some weird alien console. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, no thought went into it. But I remember this guy, the guy who made it, is a genius and a god. As I like to keep mentioning, because that's what they call him, a genius and a god. But I just cannot. I will never say he's a genius or a god. I mean, even if you look at the PS4, the issues the PS4 had, it was loud, it was overheating. A genius or a god would not keep making the same mistake. PS3, PS4, PS5, overheating problems. A genius would have by a third generation would have come up with a way of cooling his system, because their opposition are doing it. The Xbox know how to do it. Why does this genius not know how to cool his own system? You stick a new hard drive in your computer, into your console, PS5. They're telling you now might have to put a heatsink into it. What? What? Ridiculous. Stupidest thing. I just got nothing. I got no words.
You and I have talked about that. Like, I think we talked about, was it last week or the week before?
I think last week.
Where the SSD Xbox designed their proprietary version in a case that allows for heat dissipation. So they've thought about the cooling of the unit, and they haven't passed that cost onto you in the sense of going, you buy the SSD and then you also have to buy a cooling thing to keep it cool, whereas it's all in one. So that explains the price of it. But it's all in one. You're not having to go, will I need to do something else in order to make sure that this doesn't destroy my system? But I think the big thing there was, like, when he was tearing down the Series S and showing you how it was pulled apart, the one thing he consistently mentioned was all the lengths that Xbox went in to keep the system cool.
Yeah.
Like the design of the fan, like the fact that every time he pulled a component off, he had to remove all the oh my god, why can't I think of this today? But cooling pads and all the I'll get there one day, guys. But he consistently talked about this. So Xbox thought long and hard about making sure that every component was looked after and was going to stay cool, or at least dissipate and remove heat, to make sure that the system stayed quiet. And if you've listened, and if you own a Series X console or Series S console, or if your friend owns it, listen to how quiet they are. They are so quiet. You can still hear a PS5. Yes, it's nothing on the level of a PS4 or PS4 Pro in the jet engine style, but it could change, give or take a few years. Yeah, I don't know. I just think it was nice to see them tear down the Series S, and I've been waiting for it for a while because they went over to Redmond and had a look at the Series X before it was released, and they did that lovely video about that. And he was pleasantly surprised about the way the system fitted together and the level of thought and dedication that went into making sure that they designed a system that ran the way it ran. It's the same level that they did with the Series S. So, as far as I'm concerned, there is only one next-gen set of consoles, and that is the Xbox ones. The PS5 feels like they half-assed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does seem, it comes across as a rushed attempt. And I think they knew it, and that's why they lied. They did lie at the beginning of the generation, telling there's going to be games for it, and they're going to be coming out in 2021. I think they knew full well that wasn't. I think of it, and they rush this out, knowing that their fan base is just crazy, and will not only believe anything they say, but will still support them even when they then later on, a year later, tell them the truth of it, or the truth comes out. They knew their fan base would still blindly support them through anything that happens. Somebody can literally say anything to them, and they will like, yes, whatever, or just ignore it, just pretend somebody didn't say it.
I think they would have been happy to have had the console released in 2021 rather than the end of 2020. Yeah. They would have had more time to iron out any of the issues. Yeah. And that's the same with Xbox. That there were minor things that could have been ironed out, and I say minor because you don't really hear about it. But sometimes consoles release and go hot, like they're dropping hot. Like we look at the GDK for the Series X, which was still fairly new, which is why gaming developers were still learning to optimize, and why PlayStation 5 games at the beginning of this generation clearly were keeping on par with a more powerful system. We're going to start to see that gap change, regardless of whether you're playing on the Series S or the Series X. The architecture, the design, the features are in both consoles. So you're going to be getting a great experience. And for those who talk down about the Series S, if you purchase one, you will not regret it. No. If you look at it, you get access to Game Pass. Yes, the only thing you're going to deal with is storage issues. You get access not only to Game Pass, but you get access to Quick Resume. And PlayStation doesn't even have that. Yes, they have the cards where you can switch between another game you've recently played, but do you know it doesn't work the same as Quick Resume? And people seem to think that PlayStation has some sort of equivalent of that. No, if you go and load up another game, and you go back to load up your other game, it has to load in fresh. Yeah. And then Quick Resume, I can go back to right where I left off.
I think the big thing also is smart delivery, where the Xbox games are automatically upgraded, whereas on PlayStation you have to buy upgrades, which is clearly evident, and that's what the game's going. You have to pay for upgrades.
Upgraded for free.
Pay for upgrades. Ridiculous. Anyway, I think we're winding down there. We're done, I think, yeah? Just over the hour mark.
I think that's everything, yeah.
Yeah, we're all done. Do you want to say a final farewell, Red? Anything more to say?
I don't know. I can talk on forever.
I'm just going to cut off your mic now.
Yeah, just turn me off. I just want to say to everyone who follows myself or Elite on Twitter, who messages us or even puts comments in the YouTube channel. It's really we really do appreciate it. We kind of, yes, we're both passionate about games, but we also kind of want to engage with you guys as much as possible.
Yeah.
So we really appreciate it, and it's nice to be amongst a community that feels the same way we do about gaming, because we feel very passionate about it.
And we are hoping to get some more people, guests, including Sega Man, if he's listening. We are going to get you on. You need to tell us what your Twitter handle is, or whatever it is. We can't seem to find you on Twitter. I've dropped you a message.
Yeah.
And Tim Dog is also wants to come on the show. So yeah, we will have some guests come on soon. Once we can get the times set up, because obviously we're both on different times for everything else. Because a lot of other people that want to come on the show are in the States, and I'm obviously in the UK, and Red's in New Zealand. So she's either 10 hours ahead of them, and I'm 10 hours behind her. Well, I'm 10 hours. No, what was it? I'm 5 hours ahead of them.
You're 11 hours behind me at the moment.
Yeah, I'm 11 hours behind you, but then I'm 6 hours ahead of them. So it makes it really hard. So basically, yeah, you're about 16 hours ahead of them. It's weird.
Yep.
But so yeah, we'll get something sorted. But anyway, I think we'll leave it there. So thank you all for watching.
Guys.
Yeah, and goodbye for now.
Bye.